I found this out and was disturbed. Notes from the other side of seeking. The rather harsh personal truth that's sometimes difficult to communicate is that I do not mind dying. I sometimes say that if I were given the option to silently disappear without anyone grieving or remembering that I ever existed, I would do this without thinking twice. No, it's not that I'm nihilistic. Well, maybe some. Rather, it's that what I am on the external, the personality, character, attributes, relationships to others, etc., they have nothing much to do with who I truly am. It's clear to me that before I was born, I was. After I die, I will. I also joke that when I when we do die, we would realize we did. Uh, that which realizes the end of the personality is itself not dieable. So clearly, nothing of this earthly existence is much of material value. It's at this point that the argument props up with the question of legacy. This, in my opinion, is another attempt for the ego to reify itself when true aliveness is only found in the divine, who was before matter, before constructions, before ideas and legacies. By true aliveness being found in the divine, I want to establish that the divine is that in which all things find form. Form being cast into existence is still not separate from the divine. That is to say, all things are made of the divine. The Heart Sutra would express this with these words. It says, form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. In sharing this thought with a friend, I could sense the grief and confusion. I could sense how they felt I probably was depressed and perhaps life circumstances had really gotten me into this contraction. Oh, I replied, I can so relate to the Gnostic text of the Book of Thomas, where Jesus tells seekers, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. When they are disturbed, they will marvel and will rule over all. I don't claim to rule over anything, but I can tell you I've been a seeker. I have found I was disturbed. More on that later. And this is a side note to Chris Ogunlowo. But here I am marveling. So, where's the joy in all of this? What's the point of it all? You see, the way I see it, the more obvious it is that happiness cannot be found in and would never ever be found in external events and circumstances, accumulation of wealth, property or status, the more readily it is for us to reassess how we see and define happiness. Okay, I'll admit for the 10,000th time, the sheer joy of being alive is a miracle. And not just the personal miracle of acknowledging the wow, I'm alive, I'm still alive is a miracle. I mean, the fact that an aliveness happens, that things have life, that things have expression, that humans can reflect, that plants can grow, that matter vibrates. My gosh, it is a darn miracle. It is the most fantastic mystery. It is the freakiest, most brilliant magic. Yet being alive in the physical sense is just a micro aspect of aliveness as a whole. I look at this aliveness of form, the aliveness of the character called Cher, as the substantiation of something else that's more alive. Another conjoined aliveness that is itself pure potentiality. I see it in the way a fire is already alive, but gunpowder is raw potential waiting to happen, or how a light bulb is the substantiation of electricity, but raw electricity is pure potential. It turns out I'm not a light bulb, It turns out I believed myself to be a beautiful, glassy light bulb with colors different than others and similar to some others. I then explored and realized I'm in fact electricity. And in finding out I am electricity, I also realized you are also not a light bulb. You are, in fact, the same electricity that I am. And so, in knowing this, the relative sense of happiness, my relationship with happiness that is sparked by attention, recognition, ambition, success, vitality, all of these things are clearly seen as ebbs and flows that have absolutely no truth in them. They do point to truth, I would admit. I do not deny their signaling. You see, external treats are really a relaxation into the sense of self sufficiency, a wink, wink, nudge, nudge at what already is the underlying truth to them. They do not last because the moment our needs are met, the moment the thirst is quenched, another sense of lack arises again. Wait, tell me where I'm wrong here. Isn't it obvious that the moment we get that degree, we suddenly see how important it is to get the next higher degree? Or when we buy that new car, the one we've been wishing for all along, our joy lasts a few more hours, days, or months, and suddenly we realize we should have gotten the other one. Or when we finally land that dream job, a few more months passing by, we then recognize, or we start to recognize, the dysfunction that exists in the job and starts getting seduced by another job out there that could have been better. What, oh, what is the nature of this contraction, if not a signaling to that which does not contract, that which is self contained, self sufficient, self sustained? It seems obvious to me then that when we truly and genuinely seek through contemplation, we find at first our thirst would temporarily be quenched. This is where we often stop. This is where all the mindfulness crowd ends. We suddenly realize that that free tool that helps with sleep and confidence, mental well being, and so we think that's the destination. But when we fully drink, then we would thirst no more. Outer pleasantries, achievements or achieved goals, outward successes become the icing on the cake, leaving nothing to hold too firmly on, or to hold too firmly to. Terrible events do not stop. Gosh, they don't. Turns out they're part of the package. They're part of the package, just like you can't have the heads of the coin without the tails. From my current viewpoint, the rather difficult aspects of living the human life become something we also don't hold tightly to. Why? Because the whole thing, every part of it, is part of the divine play. Why enjoy that one scene and not the other? When the curtain closes, and it surely will, we would marvel at all the beautiful characters, the plots, the believable costumes we all have been wearing. They were well done. We may suddenly see there was no we, there was no us, no enemies, no friends, no dictator nor subjugates, no parents and children, no man, no woman. There no longer exists the branches, as each individual branch falls to the ground in return. There then is only the vine, and we're it.